If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Hilary DeCesare. Hilary is an award-winning entrepreneur featured on the reality show Secret Millionaire, who helps women turn typical life transitions into transformation. DeCesare's latest book, Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life, newly revised as of January 2023, exciting, details her proprietary 3HQ method so women can combine their head, heart, and higher self. I love it. A spiritual entrepreneur to create new brain patterns that shed limiting beliefs. So I understand your mom's wisdom inspired you to create this method. Welcome, Hilary. Tell me more about that.
Oh, you know what? It's so great to be here. And I think that you and I are very much on the same wave. It is an interesting story in regards to why and how I wrote this book. It came out of my mom actually getting very sick, and the women in my family have always lived into the early hundreds. So
that's amazing.
It's incredible. I mean, it is truly amazing and incredible. And I have to say that, I just assumed that my best friend, my mom, was going to be here for at least another 30 years.
Granted. You're like, we have good genes. She's going to be.
It's like one of those identities. I had the identity of this, person that's going to live, into, 105, 106, just like all the other women in my family. And all of a sudden she is diagnosed very out of the blue with colon cancer, stage 4. And it really, just rocked us all. And ended up that she had a 14-month battle with it and lost. And it wasn't because she didn't go and get tested. She was like, we come from a line of doctors, my mom was on top of all that. They missed it. And it was, a really tough 14 months. She moved in with us, and we journeyed back into her life, my life, and we kind of brought it all together. And during that process, I was able to crystallize a lot of things that I had believed, my own belief system, where things came from. I went back literally through the decades. I'm like, Mom, where did that come from? And why did I do that? I had to very quickly get to the bottom of it. And so she died right before COVID. And I did not have the opportunity to do an eat, pray, love and go out and venture the world. And I didn't have a chance to, go on to a hiking trail and, kind of scream into the night.
Yeah.
And so it ends up that I was asked to write a chapter in a book, and it was the beginning of me actually documenting a process that I've used for myself, and I've used with literally thousands of my own clients, but I had never formally really put it together and shared it. And so with the book Relaunch, Spark Your Heart to Ignite Your Life, that was my opportunity. And I wrote it during, complete lockdown when we couldn't even go outside. And it was my way of processing it.
That's so interesting. Did you find that you learned a lot about your mom and your relationship together when she moved in with you? Because you guys were living separate before, right? Was she like a really independent woman and had her own life?
Carissa, you have no idea how independent this woman was. I mean, it
Well,
was,
you're pretty amazing. So I can only
um,
imagine,
well,
she
you're
raised you, right? I
very
mean, yeah.
sweet. She was definitely my inspiration, along with my grandmother, who, crazy enough, died 2 years before my mom died. Because again, we live into the hundreds. And she really, she was such an inspiration. And because she was so independent, there was nothing she couldn't do. And one of the things that she decided to do, I believe, when she was like early 70s, is that she always wanted to help people. And so she joined the Newport Beach, out in California, Newport Beach Police Department, and became the oldest
I'm sorry,
female.
I'm laughing. It
I
just
mean, it's so
sounds really
great.
random. I'm
The
sorry.
oldest female
Wow.
volunteer police, person, and she got to wear, the full uniform, and she got to drive, in the car, and I mean, she was in the parades waving, and so she would. We talked numerous times during the day, and she was a single gal, so she really vicariously lived through my life and my life with my children, and she would say every once in a while, she'd say, Hilary, you got to stop. You got to stop talking because I have to go save Newport. So I will talk to you later. So great.
You guys, do you live in Newport also?
No, actually, I grew up in Los Angeles and I lived in the Bay Area for 25 years. And
Oh.
about a year and a half ago, it was a COVID decision. I moved to Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, guess where I live?
Where do you live?
Lafayette, Colorado.
Oh, you are kidding. Okay, that is so great. We should have done this in person.
Okay, yeah. But we'll have to have coffee another time and just chat on a personal level.
I would
Because,
love
oh
that.
my gosh. Okay, so we moved from LA. We lived in Lake Balboa in the Valley. I don't know if you know that area. Where did you grow up in LA?
So I grew up in the Brentwood area, and my
Okay.
husband grew up in Westlake
Okay.
Village. So,
Yep. I'm familiar
so
with Westlake.
yeah, we kind of lived, we crossed all of, LA, and then he actually went to CU. I went to CU, not at the same time. We did not know each other.
But
And
like when you met, that's like a really cool thing to have in
oh,
common.
have you ever had that happen? It's like serendipitous. This is a second marriage. We've been together for about 10 years now. And it was one of those, his dad's a doctor, my dad's a doctor. He grew up in LA. He went to a school that was like, kind of our competitive school, in Los Angeles. So very
Oh,
similar. Very similar. Like his parents got divorced. When he got divorced, he was single for 7 years. I was single for 7 years. I mean, it's just like
oh
boom,
my
boom.
God.
And then we both were buffs. We both went to University of
Oh
Colorado. And
my
so,
God. That's amazing.
yeah.
Okay, but how did you meet? How did you meet your husband?
So I have to tell you, I was raising money for one of my companies, and one of the guys that was there as a CEO raising money for his company, we just started chit-chatting, and he said, how come, and at the time I was pretty much married to my companies and
Yeah.
my kids. I didn't have, and I was kind of like off and
You
on
didn't have a
dating.
lot of time for
I
dating or
didn't
think
have a
about
lot
it,
of time, but
probably.
I was also dating all of the wrong guys, I must say. I mean, let's
Oh,
just
okay.
let's just
Let's just
call a
put it
spade a
out there.
spade.
Hey,
It happened, and so
you're like, it happened. Okay.
this guy was so sweet, and he said, you really should try to find someone in your local area, because this business, I was dating someone across the country, and no joke, I had tried.
He's like, how
This
about
is
me?
this is almost embarrassing, but
Awesome, but
I'm
not.
willing to go there because I actually put it into the book. I broke up with this guy this guy that was, on the East Coast 11 times. So
Oh,
I know, it's just so like really,
it's okay.
that's
Drama
it's
back
a
and forth.
different,
I get
yeah, it was a different part of my life. And so this other CEO said, listen, you really need to kind of move past this guy. And when you're raising money and you're traveling and you get to know the other people that are doing it too, you can actually, at the end, you're able to deliver their pitch because you've heard it so many times. You're sitting
it.
there and you're like,
Amazing.
so we were just talking and he said, my wife's a matchmaker. And
His
oh,
wife.
yeah, his wife was a matchmaker.
Oh, so at this
And
point,
I
he
got to
wasn't
tell you,
really hitting on you.
no, but initially I thought he was.
Well,
And
yeah,
I was just,
I totally
I
thought
was,
so.
he was asking me all these very personal questions. And I didn't know his wife was a matchmaker. I didn't know he'd been hearing her ask all these questions to so many different clients. And so I did. And I'm like, he's got this wedding ring on. And I'm like, very like taken back, don't want to talk to him. And then he throws out this, okay, Hilary, this is getting ridiculous. You need to stop with that guy and you need to meet my wife, who's a matchmaker. And oh, by the way, she has a Harvard MBA degree. I'm like, wait, what? That intrigued me in itself. Like, what? A matchmaker? She's gone to Harvard? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm intrigued. It ends up that she didn't handle the San Francisco Bay Area, which is so crazy. She handles Colorado. And I ended up meeting through this woman. I met another gal, Harvard MBA, also a matchmaker, and she ended up introducing me to my husband. And ready for this? It was 3 different guys that she introduced me to. It was the third guy. Eric was the third guy. And it literally took 6 weeks from when I started, working with her until I found Eric. And then it was it. That was it. It was like,
Oh, but can I ask, Eric wasn't the guy that initially said, oh, you need to date someone local. It's not the
no,
same.
that was the matchmaker's husband.
Okay. I thought maybe he left
No,
his wife for you.
yeah, Carissa,
Put the drama in.
it's so funny because, I think initially I'm like, then as soon as you said my wife's a matchmaker, I'm like, oh, he's trying to bring in business for her.
Right. Exactly.
You need to do this, you need to do that. But I gotta say,
so he was really sincere about it.
he
That's
really
so
was.
sweet. Oh, that's
He
amazing.
really was. And you know what? Shannon out of San Francisco, Shannon Circle was the gal that ended up introducing me, and she's still making love matches, and I have to say she just nailed it. It was, one of those like, wow. It was a wow moment. And ready for this, I actually was trying to avoid meeting Eric because I was going into the summer and we had a bunch of stuff going on with kids, and I'm just like, I don't have time for this. And we ended up.
You lived in LA? You lived in LA?
He actually at that point was in San Francisco Bay Area. And
Oh,
he and I were both going to be in San Francisco, but we both had plans that evening. So we agreed to meet afterwards, and we ended up meeting at like 11:59 p.m. I was like, who does this?
I felt crazy.
I felt a little bit like it was Cinderella, right, in the glass slipper.
Yeah.
And I better get the heck out of there before I say something because I really thought he was a great guy. And I'm like, but is he a great guy? Because I've had a few glasses of wine.
Yeah. And he was cute, and you were attracted to him too? Because you're gorgeous. I mean, I'm sure guys are hitting on you all the time,
You're very sweet. But yes, he is a good one on the outside and an even better one on the inside.
Oh, that's so sweet. And I'm sure you are as well. Your heart.
Yeah, there's some big hearts here.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Just like on your book cover.
Yeah.
So it's a firecracker or a match?
It's actually a match,
Yeah.
lighting a heart that's ignited, because the whole idea is spark your heart to ignite your life. And if
Yeah.
you think about it, spark your passion to
Mm,
ignite your purpose.
yeah.
And when I put spark your heart, it's like, where's that passion coming from? It's coming from your heart. And
Mm,
where's that purpose coming from? The purpose of your life. And so I went, kind of deliberated or back and forth around like, which one should I? I'm like, you know what? I want to spark. I want to spark people's heart, because for so many of us right now, especially when there's global relaunches going on and there's professional relaunches going on and personal relaunches going on, there's a dullness that's happened in a lot of us. We've just, become complacent on, oh, here's yet another thing that's happening in the world, in our business and ourselves. And I wanted to show people that, you know what, there's always the ability to take a relaunch, a transition, and have it be a positive in your life and a positive transformation. And we've lost that. We've lost that connection to be able to, have that happen. And I think your audience gets it. Your audience is, one that's kind of, already tapped into that spirituality, but it's not necessarily this spirituality around God. It's universe. It's that there's something bigger than us, and tapping into our higher self is so critical, because we've just silenced our own inner voices for so long. And you're seeing small indications that people are waking up to what I call 3HQ, as you said, getting out of their head, getting out of their own way, tapping into their heart so that they can start to use the tools that are given to us when we're born. And intuition is probably one of the biggest tools that is underused in all areas of your business and your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you feel like you used intuition when you built your businesses? Tell me more about your personal journey. What businesses did you start?
Yeah, so I've started, I worked at Oracle, a high-tech company in the Silicon Valley for a long time, almost 10 years.
Hey, if you
And
don't know what Oracle is, so I'm sorry. I don't mean.
yeah, you know what? That's really funny. As I say that, Oracle could be a lot of things to a lot of different
Well,
people.
that's true. And Oracle, that's
Yes.
right. The company, the tech company, right,
Yeah,
right.
the tech company, databases,
Yeah,
financial manufacturing system, all that
yeah,
really incredible stuff.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever get to go on Larry Ellison's yacht? We
Yeah.
actually sailed.
Can you believe I never did? I mean, what the
Oh,
heck?
what the?
Although one of my friends dated him for a while, so
Oh
that's
my
something.
God. So that's
I
a whole
didn't get
other.
to go on the yacht. But
Yeah.
there is this idea around, when you're creating, a lot of times, our belief system, as I said, that I got intimate with my mom, like, why do I believe this? Why do I think this? Why do I have a story around this that makes no sense? And as I was doing that, I realized, I've created businesses. I've had, a lot of different opportunities and coaching people, and you name the industry, and I probably have touched in on it. But what I really needed to do at one point is I had to spark myself. I had to ignite something that I knew I was not destined to be in corporate. I knew that
Mm,
I wanted to, and people say, I want to give back, I want to make an impact.
mhm.
But I really, in like deep within me, when I light up, when I say, I'm fired up, I'm excited to get up in the morning, it's when I am using 3HQ, when I'm using this method, when I'm teaching the method, when I'm teaching people. Can I just share with you the coolest
Yeah.
thing? The coolest thing in the
Yeah.
whole thing, because really this is all blah 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 blah. Nobody's really like, oh, this is so great. But when it is great,
Oh, stop it. It's
well, I just,
interesting. You're interesting. Come on.
well, but I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, she's going down the path of, how do you start the business? But
No, we're talking
I,
about something deeper.
I think that this is the coolest part of what I give to people. that you talk about that 3HQ, you talk about getting out of your head, and people a lot of times will say, well, how do you even start? And I'll say, you tune in. And it's the coolest part of the entire system. And so I would love to take
explain it.
Yeah, can I take
kind of get into it because
through it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I want you to think of something that's a challenge in your life. All right. I want you to think of something that's like kind of holding you back. Maybe it's in your business. Maybe it's, just something that you're like, oh, I haven't been able to get to where I thought I'd be at this point in my life because this just keeps happening. So as you're thinking about that, you're tuning into what's going on in your life. And there are thoughts around that challenge. There's emotions tied to that challenge. There's beliefs, there's stories. You might even be telling another story about a story right now that's going through. So
how are you in my head?
So the second step is, this is where we go for changing the channel. And I love, especially on your show, because changing the channel is not just, in a car when we're changing the channel or on a TV. It's literally changing that channel to the above. And the way that I want you to do that is I want you to think of a song that really lights you up, that when you think of it, your mood goes from wherever you are. You could be like, in that challenging state where, I don't know how. Do you have a song that you're thinking of? Can you share that with us?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a little bit inspired by your book, Firework by Katy Perry.
Oh, Firework is one of my favorites. That is such a great song. And right now, as I'm thinking about it, I'm getting fired up. So
maybe you're a firework. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I want your eyes shut. I want you to feel that song. I want you to sing that song. I want you to be like, in your mind, you're just taking that song in. Mm-hmm. You're taking it all the way down to your toes. You're like tapping your toes. You're moving your body. And all of a sudden you go from a challenging state of like, either that victim state, the blame state, this didn't happen because this should have, this could have, this would have, the blah, 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 all of that. And now with thinking about that song, you're elevating yourself. You're elevating your energy, literally moving yourself up that energy level. And when you do this, this is what's changing the channel. And now when I ask you, all right, what is the vision of really what you want? What are you really going for? Mm-hmm. What would that be? So you think about, you have your challenge, you have your challenge that you thought of. Then you have your change the channel, you have the song to elevate that, because it's really interesting. Einstein said you can't solve a problem at the level it was created. You can't solve a problem at the level it was created. And I was always like, kind of, running up against that thought, thinking like, what really did he mean by that? And then it just clicked. It's like, in order for you to really move your business forward, your life forward, your relationships forward, and you're not satisfied with where you are, to think about it at that level, you're going to get the same answers you always get. But if you elevate yourself, if you tune in, if you change the channel, then now that we are thinking about the vision, we're thinking at a higher level about, what do I really want? You're defining it. You tune in again. You hear the fireworks song. You're like, yes. And then I ask you, what is that first step right now that you could take today to act on that vision? What would that smallest, the simplest step be?
And are you asking me to answer this? This is a real process, because I can.
If you're comfortable taking us through the challenge to the vision to the first step, I think it would be so impactful.
Okay, yeah, I'll be vulnerable here. And just to clarify for everybody, when you're thinking about what you want, you might want to associate that feeling, right? The feeling and visualizing the outcome, not just like a situation or something like that.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's go back to tune into the challenge. What was your challenge?
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. It's creating a landing page for an online course.
Perfect. Okay, so this is a challenge you have. You
Yeah.
then tuned in to change the channel
Yeah.
because you're like, this has become like, this landing page for this
Yeah.
course is really, it's stopping me in my tracks. I'm not getting it done. So then you tuned in, you changed the channel with that song, and then you create the vision of what would that landing page for your course, what would that allow you to do? How would that make you feel, as you said?
I think it would make me feel free, like I did it. And in a sense of like, yes, I moved through this mental block and was able to create something that I'd never done before.
Outstanding. And so then I go back to Katie, back to fireworks, and you're like, okay, think of that song again. And what is that one step that you can commit to today? Small first step. What could you do to get the momentum going?
It's so interesting that I'm having this conversation with you because I feel like just on Monday, I decided enough of this. I didn't go through your beautiful process, but I just said, I'm ready, universe. And then I had this download of intuition. So I'm telling you, because I have a meeting with this person tomorrow, is to collaborate, have an affiliate, because I'm meeting with this person who has built successful landing pages and won contests for getting like 8 figures in one landing page. And he reached out to me. And so, and I'm like, well, I just need to ask. I need to ask for help for this and guidance, and to have a partner in this process so that I can learn the best way. So yeah, I don't know what I can do right now, but it's already kind of
Hold on.
forward. Okay.
Hold on.
Don't say that.
Tune in.
Tune in. What can I do right
again.
now? Oh, I know.
Into-
Visualize what I'm going to say, and maybe even write it down, how I'm going to pitch him.
So here's what I want you to do. You've now tuned in. You have gone ahead and you have now said, hey, probably I could visualize or write it down. Do you think writing it down for your meeting tomorrow would give you more clarity for him to move forward?
Yes.
Perfect. So are you willing to commit right now to that process, to actually documenting? Again, it doesn't have to be a lot, but how much better would that meeting be if you come into that meeting with those notes?
Yeah, it would be amazing. And, I just want to share something with the audience, what's happening to me physically. My heart is really expanding, and it's like connecting to your heart. I feel like I'm in this loop, like you're really tuned in to me and what I need in life and this process and everything. So it's really interesting that I can just feel that happening.
I can too.
On a spiritual level, and you can too.
And when you said, well, I can't really, you start to push back. I could tell that again, that higher self, right? That higher self, the best version of you is saying, she knows, get her to tune in again, bring the song back. She'll get there. And you know what? That's what it's all about. And that's why I think, just watching you do this, I can do this and I do this literally, 20 times a day. It's, people are like, oh God, I'm not stuck anymore. No. And there is, this great, kind of, Tony Robbins first said, you can never be stuck if you are moving forward, even by like, a centimeter, it's against the whole definition of being stuck.
Yeah. I mean, I never heard him say that, but I haven't been to any of his seminars.
Yeah. I have to say, I went to Date with Destiny about, do you get that COVID that COVID timing, like it's kind of like the 2 years you think, oh, it was, about 3 years ago. And then you're like, but wait, then you add COVID the 2 years in there and you're like, wait, was it really 5 years ago? So
Yeah.
I think it was about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I walked on, the fire. I did.
Okay, go girl.
I have
Did
to
it.
say, it was pretty darn cool. I enjoy anything motivational like that.
Yeah.
I love it. I eat it up. I have a retreat that I do once a year, actually in Boulder, Colorado, girl, at the end of May. And I like to put those wow moments. I call them, dazzle and delight. Like, let's elevate ourselves. Let's have fun again. And dance, music, that hits my heart. That's just like, if I can go there, and I do. And I just share another really ridiculous story.
Of
So
course. You're being real, girl. That's what I love.
So every morning I wake up and I kind of assess where my energy is, and I think about my song for the day. What is it going to be? And I go through, like, I have a whole repertoire of songs, and it crosses over every single genre. You have no idea. I'm truly also a cross-generational girl. I like a lot of different songs. So I'll come down, and my husband usually gets up earlier than I do. I like to kind of have a little bit more time in bed to just reflect. And I'll go down and I will dance. And most of the time put the song on my phone, and I will dance, about, a minute of whatever song has come to me that I'm going to be really focused on for the day. And here's the best part. When I don't dance, he knows he's in trouble.
Oh.
Yeah, no song.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
So no song. If I come down and I'm like, oh yeah, you don't get a dance today. No, you do not. You're in the doghouse. It doesn't happen often. I have to say it does not happen often, but he knows. He'll be like, uh-oh, what have I done? We need to talk.
Oh my gosh. That's great. That's great. I love that you get your groove on, and it's really healthy for you too. It actually, obviously any type of exercise is healthy, but there's something about like the shaking and moving that activates the circulatory system and the lymph system. So it's really good for your immune system too, not only your emotional energy. So anyway,
I love it.
Yeah.
If there's music on, most likely you'll see me, like, my body's moving or I'm getting up and I'm dancing. It's hard for me to stay still.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is the process over?
Yes, you have gone through the process.
To have closure.
You have officially tuned in. That is the first part in the head.
Okay.
When people say, how do I even start 3HQ? That's the first step. And then I've got so many amazing different ways. We talk about, I was a psychology major and I have a degree in psychology. And then I've been studying neuroscience for about 10 years. And one of the things that I have been able to do with all of the incredible people that I've surrounded myself with is that I've come up with a term called bugs, beliefs, underground surfacing. Bugs. We all have bugs, every single one of them. I know it sounds gross, but we do. These are those limiting beliefs. And you can't just will your way. I am not going to be thinking that anymore. I am, not going to be going through life, feeling like, I'm not good enough. I'm just not going to do it. And, unfortunately, your brain's not wired that way, and we're hardwired. And so in order to break that hard wire, I have a process, and it's called the Belief Blaster. And it takes time and it takes work, but tuning in allows for instant relief but it's only topical. It's not getting to the root. It's not getting to the bug. It's not getting there, but it certainly allows you to go throughout your day.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I love that. So everybody, you have to get her book, Relaunch, and learn more about these processes, or go to her retreat in Boulder. And I'll make sure to include your website and how to buy your book in the show notes. But okay, I'm going to go back. I'm not going to let you get away without your story. I want to hear a little bit more. So we started talking about how you worked at Oracle. What were you doing there? Were you a programmer? What were your skills, and what's your job there?
Yeah, so I actually was in the, if you can believe this, it was the sales group, but I sold financials and manufacturing systems.
Okay.
So I was the one
sophisticated.
I was the one that was doing, general ledger, fixed assets, accounts receivable, and then, supply chain management and MRP. I mean, all of those really exciting things. I was doing
awesome.
That.
And then
what I managed,
to start your business? Like, what was your business?
So it was really interesting. I was coming into almost my 10th year at Oracle, and the president, Ray Lane, who I'd worked very closely with at Oracle, left to go to a venture capital firm called Kleiner Perkins. And he called me up and said, you know what, is there any chance you could come over here and do a 3-day workshop to help every single one of the companies that we've invested in really gain clarity around growing their business.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm like, heck yeah, that's what I love to do. It's relaunch to revenue. It's like growing your business wherever you are. And there were people that were just starting out with their, I got a great idea, to they were well into the 8 figures, 9 figures. And it was just, I realized that there is so much that foundationally we all need to know, no matter where you are, because sometimes we can jumpstart the business and all of a sudden we're really doing well, and then we have a quarter that we're not, and it's like, what happened? Things were going so great. Or we're trying to get to that 6-figure, and then we hit the wall, and it's like, I call it in the book, hell in the hallway, where all of a sudden you're like, what is going on? Which door can I open? And we start to try every single door, right? We're opening up everything. We're joining every course. We're doing this, we're doing that. But the foundation hasn't been established, that core foundation. And so I like to take entrepreneurs through a process to create their core, no matter where they are in their business cycle, and break through those revenue ceilings that you're actually putting on yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that was your first business. You did consulting for VC firms, helping grow.
I did. It was called White Space Inc. INK.
Oh, cool.
Like ink. Like you'd have this big white space, and where do you start?
Yeah.
And so that was my first company. And then it moved into, I did that for almost 5 years with this other fabulous gal. And then I really wanted to create something on my own. So I started a company to keep girls safe online. And that was called Girl Ambition. And then as we got an acquisition offer, and then we were going to be continuing just the girls, and then the boys were like, but wait a second, we're keeping girls safe, what about boys?
Yeah, what about boys? Did you get funding for that business, or you only got acquired? Okay.
No, it was great. So then we created a company with the boys and the girls. And I got almost $10 million for that. And then in the book, I actually share, and you had mentioned intuition. I actually share a story where I was on the edge of Niagara Falls, literally the edge of Niagara Falls. And I was looking down at the falls, and I got this intuitive hit, like, get the hell away from the edge. And there was a guy that was on my board that was right next to me. As I turned around, he was not even like 6 inches away. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. And I kind of pushed away, and I got away from that, and I was just like, I could not get away from that feeling of being very unsafe. And, no, I can't prove to you that, that he was intentionally trying to do that. I can't do that, but I can tell you that through situations, the company ended up, he literally brought the company down. And about 2 weeks after the company was dissolved, I got a call from the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, and they said, we're investigating this man, and we think that, he might have been doing a Ponzi scheme with your company. And he ended up getting 3 years in federal prison for doing that. So, who knows? But it really, and when my mom was passing, she was very aware of this whole situation, what happened, and we went through it again. And I just said, I didn't, at that point before, I wasn't trusting my intuition. I was hearing it, but I wasn't listening to it. And, there were many times where it was trying to tell me something and I misinterpreted it. And so that's part of quite a bit of what I really like to get people to be able to understand how they're interpreting things perhaps a little off.
Right. And sometimes we can think, and this is my opinion, our intuition can be off though. They say follow your intuition, but sometimes people can have layers of patterns that are blocking like the truth, the divine truth within your soul. At least that's my opinion, is that sometimes, yes, we can have that like emergency, like fight or flight. That's real. That is for real. When you felt it, you were standing there and but some of the other things that might be a little less urgent may not be so clear. Anyway. That's my opinion about it.
And I agree to a point where I actually think your intuition is always spot on. It's your interpretation of what happened that's not. So are you interpreting it based on your stories, your beliefs, versus really tuning in, really going for that, when you're in with your head and your heart and you're having them work together, then you tap that higher self. And that's where the intuition, you're like, and once you start to really trust, it's a habit, it's a form. It's like you start to trust your intuition, and your intuition starts to give you more and more and more. And that's where I think the magic starts to happen with 3HQ, because then you're not going on the outside for answers. How many times, this is so great, how many times have you gone to one person and said, I really want your opinion, and they give it to you, and you're like, meh, I think I'll go to someone else because I want another opinion, because it really wasn't exactly what you wanted to hear. So then you go to that second person, I really want your opinion, and they say, you're like, that's what I wanted to hear, that's really good.
Yeah, totally. And it's so funny because I was like, God, do I ever ask? I ask on my show because I want the audience to hear, but I'm always like, oh no, I'm going to do what my heart, what my intuition says. Oh my gosh, that's so insightful. That's wonderful. I love your insight on that. And okay, let's talk about Secret Millionaire. Were you asked, how did that come about? How were you asked to be on the show?
So that was an interesting time. It was during the time at that same company, and we were doing so many incredible things to highlight kids, internet safety. Just like it was, the concept was probably a little ahead of its time, but we were.
What year was that?
This was, I would say, that's really interesting. So probably 2013, 2014.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was when Facebook first announced that they wanted to do something for under 13-year-olds. And we had already been doing it for 2 or 3 years. So we were definitely on the cutting edge of the technology. And it was really, we were seeing a lot of growth. We were seeing a lot of momentum, as I said, with, investors. And all of a sudden, you put yourself out there. I was on a few of the morning shows, and we got contacted by Shark Tank, and we got contacted by Secret Millionaire. And I chose Secret Millionaire, not because I liked the title, not because I thought that was, I'm like, oh God, the title is terrible, but I like the premise of going and helping companies that don't have the funds kind of gain notoriety through what they're doing. And they had come to me saying, we're going to make sure that it ties into your love of children, education, safety. And they did. And I was able to highlight numerous, 4 different CEOs. One was this kid who was, not even like 10 years old, who was going out and feeding the homeless and the homeless children and giving them like, some of the gifts that they've never ever received, like teddy bears. And then there was another who had lost their child through leaving the child in the car, and one of the other kids, got up and the child rolled out and ended up dying. And we created a place of, memorial for that child. And another was a horse ranch that helped kids with equine therapy.
Oh, I love it. That's huge here in Colorado, right?
It is, and it's just so incredible. I got to know so much more about the horses and the connection there. And then the last group that I did was, they were the ones that are called when either a parent or children pass, and having families deal with it. So these groups were so impactful. They were so incredible. And so I chose that one over Shark Tank, because I kept thinking, if all of a sudden, they start to push us on this show about, things like, the people that are coming on and, really doing bad things online. I'm like, I don't want to get into all that, and the safety and trying to help people understand that in a minute segment. So I thought, this way I'm really going to get
smart.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, Mark Cuban was, on there, and they were trying to convince me, oh, he loves to invest in companies like this. But I thought, I only have such a short amount of time. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to the real issue of what I'm trying to do. But on the show, Secret Millionaire, I was really able to talk about, some of the things. Yeah, it was a really great experience. It really was. Reality TV, for what it's worth, 99% of it is really bad, but there were some beautiful stories, and not some, all of them, beautiful people that I really connected with. One of the women, if you can believe this, ended up being in our wedding, and she was one of the speakers and delivered this beautiful, so I really.
Do you know Allie Brown? Do you know Allie?
Yeah, you know what? She was she was the episode right before me.
Oh, she was. Okay, yeah. So, anyway.
You know her?
Yeah, I mean, not that well, but I've met her a few times, and I knew she was on that show. So I was just wondering.
She was on right before I was.
Oh,
and they didn't ever bring us all together. It was like,
yeah.
But it was it was a great experience.
That's great. So what is Zen success to you?
I would say it's 3HQ. When you can 3HQ you, when you can, again, get to a place where you're sparking your heart to ignite your why. Why are we even doing the things we're doing? And these people that are like, well, I have to do it because it's just, what I've always done. Life is super short. And again, I've seen it taken away. Right after my mom died, my dad started getting sick, and the book, if you can believe this, came out June 6th, which was a Monday. And no, I'm sorry, June 8th. And June 8th was a Thursday. And my
2020?
2023, 2022.
2022, okay.
And my dad died 2 days before. So my mom died, then my dad died, right? So I kind of look at like the book as bookends. I have the relaunch, with my mom's life journey. And then I had this wow, the book is finally coming out. And my dad dies, a couple days before. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of symbolism there. There's a lot of unpacking that I still probably need to do. But I feel like, they call the Gen X the sandwich generation, right? We've got parents, we've got kids, we've got all these different, we're being asked to be everything to everyone. And unfortunately, life is going to hit you with relaunches, and it's how you get through them. And it's what you can do with the experience, because some experiences you think it's going to flatten you out and you're not going to be able to survive. And I got to tell you, whether it's my own stories or the stories of my clients, you can survive, and you can, I know it's trite, but you can thrive, because, when you think about really silver linings of life, I can now really explain and serve people on a different level with 3HQ because of what I've been through.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just feel so touched by your story, because my dad had cancer and lived with me for 18 months before he passed on. And it was such a blessing. Of course, I was sad, but my kids got to know him, and had so much pride. He would never have moved in with me if it wasn't for that. So I totally feel you. My heart goes out to you. And
my heart goes out to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and hearing about your book, Relaunch, and 3HQ. And I'll put your website and how to connect with you in the show notes. So thanks, Hilary, for being on my show.
Thank you so much. I've had so much fun today.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Zen Success is also available on the radio in select markets through amfm247.com. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to zensuccessshow.com to help you on your Zen Success journey, and join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.